day to you all, my dear students, my BE Ed students, my BTBT Ed students, my architectural drafting students, and of course, my community development students. Today, we are on lesson 2 of our subject, Understanding the Self. And this week, we will learn about the different philosophical views of the self. So sit back, relax, and listen carefully so that you will be able to participate in our discussion as we go along. Get ready to chat in the live chat your inputs or questions about the topic, and of course, comment below present for your attendance this week.
Plato, Socrates, Ryle, Biblical, Locke, Aquinas, Kant, Rousseau, Hume, and Descartes. They have a story to tell from a question, what are you, who am I, and who are you?
Do you know what philosophy is?
Came from the Greek words philos and sophia, meaning a love for wisdom.
Some define philosophy as the basis to what is happening around.
Thus, as we revisit the beliefs of our philosophers, we may find that some of their beliefs are same and different at the same time.
The self, according to Plato, are three coexistent aspects of the soul, the tripartite.
Kung gapati ka nga may kabuhi after sang aton nga kamatayon, then you are simply saying that your physical body may die, but your soul will live on. But mostly, Plato believes that the self is a soul who only uses a body.
First is the rational soul, which gives reason and intellect to govern affairs.
Pagsiling rational, it is commonly associated with reasoning. And reasoning comes from the mind. And if you are a rational being, mas ginauna mo ang imo nga paminsaron kaysa sa imo nga tagipusoon or sa imo nga feelings. Dapat kabalo ka manumdum or magbinag-binag. Because Plato believes yung may ara kita taglay na rational soul. Hindi pwede nga puro na lang spiritual or mapadala ka na lang permis sa imo nga ginabatsyag.
2. Spirited soul, which means that emotions should be kept at bay.
Magsiling ka, kept at bay, dapat controlled ta ini. Anyway, spiritual soul is the seat of our emotions, pero mostly it wants us to contain specific emotions like anger or kaakig, jealousy, hate. Ika nga, sa Galatians, for the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, forgiveness, faithfulness, forbearance or long-suffering. Magsiling ka forbearance, namin niya sina, may kakabala pasensya sa mga isig katawo mo, maskin nga gina trouble kanila, maskin nga ginahisaan kanila, do wala mo lang bala ginapaapekto sa imo nga kaugalingon, hindi sila nga maakig kadayon or mag-develop kadayon sang laway nga pamatsyag or feeling towards sa tao nga ina.
And 3. The appetitive soul, which includes base desires.
And of course, we have the last, the appetitive soul. Simply masiling ka lang gid ang mga physical. Like, you need food, you need water, you need clothing, even sex is part of appetitive soul. Duga yearn ka bala of something nga makasatisfy sa iyong mga physical needs.
Now, please pay attention to the chat box, and BTBT Ed CP1A students get ready to chat your answers on the question, in one word, what is the self according to Plato? What about the other students? What is your answer? Please stop chatting now as we listen to the next view.
So according to Socrates, he believes that there are two parts of the self. One is physical. This is the part that is mortal and can be or is constantly changing like the earth, aka something that we can grasp and like fully control. And the second part is the soul, which is believed to be immortal.
Because to him, the goal of a man is to know himself.
One's true self, according to Socrates, is not to be identified with what we own, with our social status, our reputation, or even with our body. Instead, Socrates famously maintained that our true self is our soul.
For Socrates naman, ang ultimate goal mo is to know yourself. Sa edad mo subong, do you already know who you are? Ang tipo bala nga Maski ano pa ang balon sang iban sa imo, wala ka gakaapektuhan kay kilala mo ang kaugalingon mo. Isn't it just wonderful to think nga nalabot mo na amo ng level? Or aka pa lang ikaw gihapon sa stage nga wala ka kabalo maano ka sa life mo. Maski sa kurso mo subong, napilitan ka lang. Nagsunod ka lang sa uso. Do you agree with Socrates' view? Know yourself? Hindi kita dapat pag-i-define kung ano ang may-ara kita, but on what is within us.
Can I hear from my BTBTX, BCW, and FSM students? For Socrates, what is the goal of a man? Please stop chatting now as we listen to the next view.
According to Gilbert Ryle, the self is the way people behave. The self is basically your behavior.
The self is defined in terms of the behavior that is presented to the world, a view that is known in psychology as behaviorism.
This concept provided the philosophical principle, I act, therefore I act.
Si Gilbert Ryle naman, medyo judgmental siya no? Pero syempre may point man siya. The self is our behavior. Kumbaga, behavior plays a big role on knowing our understanding of who we are. Notice niyo sa mga tao nga makasiling ka na lang kisa anhon tabi kaya mo ginasaya. Or may ara man nga makahambal ka. Grabe, mayo na lang kay buot kagidya or masaligan kagidya. Do ka nami lang no kung positive kaya ka-boost ang imo self-esteem. Pero may ara ni gina-associate si Gilbert Ryle nga saying, I act, therefore I am. But silingon gali kung gaamo ka na, meaning amo ka na na. Okay, example. Sa mga suitors or sa migahon, sino ang piliun mo? Ang gwapo or gwapa, sexy, macho, mga pala food panda, Starbucks, my car, or syempre ang hindi manggid nga pang beauty pageant nga dating pero kabalo magluto, maglaba, magatipan sa balay. Kung ginpili mo ang mga gwapo, you have Plato's view of the self nga mas gina-satisfy mo physical. Pero kung dito ka sa mga kabalo magikot sa balay, then you see that person sa Ryle nga perspective kung anong iya nga pamatasan. Pero take note nga ang behavior is something nga gak-occur liwat-liwat. Amo nga nga ginatawag nga behavior. Hindi siya one-time thing. Ang feeling bala nga just because ginlutuan niya kasi inyo nga first date, sabton mo na siya dayon kay kabalo siya magluto. Basi pakita ya lang na yan sa imo ya kay una lang na. Pero in the end gali, hindi man siya gali kabalugid. Or what if kung may nangawat? Or may nag-drugs, or may namatay tao. Does that define kung ano sila? Dibala?
CITADT1A, do you agree with Ralph's view? I act, therefore I am? Why or why not? What about the other students? What is your answer? Please stop chatting now as we listen to the next view.
John Locke is an English philosopher. According to him, human mind at birth is tabula rasa or blank slate.
Which means that the person is born with knowing nothing and that is susceptible to stimulation and accumulation of learning from the experiences, failures, references, and observations of the person.
Personal identity or the self depends on the consciousness, not the body or the soul.
Another view is ang kay John Locke. So siya ganiyang famous nga nagsiling nga at birth, wala gid kita sa may nabalaan or we are a blank slate. Do you believe that? Well, if you think about it, pag bata sa aton, or the moment that we are born, gahibi kita, we cry. We cry telling the world that I'm here. Hello world, di bala? I am alive. You may not remember being conscious at birth or ang journey mo sa pagwa sang ano ni mo mother, but even if we are in the womb, we already perceive ano ang nakatabo sa gwa. We feel kung unwanted bala kita, or we are loved, or excited man balang parents na magwa kita. And sometimes, it affects kung ano na kita when we grow up. Because kung anong pagtratar sa aton, or anong mga emotions nga na-feel ta, sa harap pa lang kita sa womb. Well, personally, wala ako gapati nga we are a blank slate, pero amo niyang view ni John Locke. And kung ikaw, gapati ka nga amo sina, and that you build yourself through the learnings and the experiences nga makuha mo as you grow up, then that's the John Locke view. And he focuses more on consciousness or memory, kung anong mga susulod sang isip mo rather than the soul or the body when it comes to self.
BSCD 1A students, in one word, for John Locke, the self is defined by our Please stop chatting now as we listen to the next view.
The moral philosophy of St. Thomas Aquinas involves a merger of at least two apparently disparate traditions, Aristotelian eudaimonism and Christian theology.
The permanent nature of being proves the existence of entire being God.
He argues our awareness of ourselves is triggered and shaped by our experiences. In short, we are what we have experienced.
Ang kay Aquinas naman niya, very simple. Yourself is just influence ang mga na-experiensyahan mo sa palibot. Diba? Very explanatory kung anong mga naagyan mo, masiling ka that it made you who you are.
BEEN, can you share a simple experience that made you who you are today? Or why did you choose this course? How about from the other class? What is your answer? What about for the BTBT Ed ELX and ELT1A? Share a simple experience that made you who you are today. Please stop chatting now as we listen to the next view.
According to Immanuel Kant, we all have an inner and an outer self, which together form our consciousness.
We do believe that the rightness and the wrongness of a person does not depend on their consequences, but on whether they fulfill our duty.
Immanuel Kant believes beauty was important, and that's because it connects us with the ultimate mystery of being.
For Immanuel Kant, he believes that the fact nga tao kita or we are human already has value in itself. Nga kita, maski ano ka pa, maski ano pang ginagyan mo sa kabuhi, you have value. And that is one of Immanuel Kant's philosophical perspective of the self. That as human or being human already brings value to ourselves. And he has what we call inner self, or ang rational reasoning and psychological state, and outer self, which is the body. Furthermore, ginambal niya din nga ang tao or ikaw mismo ang ga-direct kung ano ang ubrahon mo sa kabuhi. Ikaw mismo ang ga-set purpose sa imo nga life. Hindi man pwede nga mabaka mo ni purpose mo pero iban ang maka-accomplish. Di ba la? So dapat kung anong naset mo nga purpose, kag kung ano ang ginaubra mo sa self mo, it's your responsibility and you need to fulfill a goal or duty in your life.
For BE Ed 1A, in your life right now, give one duty or goal that you need to fulfill. Is it finishing this course? Is it graduating? Is it putting food on the table? Can you share? Please stop chatting now as we listen to the next view.
Jean-Jacques Rousseau believed modern man's enslavement to his own needs was responsible for all sorts of societal ills, from exploitation and domination of others to poor self-esteem and depression.
He claimed that human beings are possessed of two types of self-love: amor de soi, which is we simply take in our own survival and comfort, and amor propre, which is the kind of value we put on ourselves on the basis of receiving recognition from others.
He wants to create a new genre to tackle what, in his view, no one had the courage to do before. To offer the full revelation of the self, to disclose all, to conceal nothing, but the realization of our full humanity.
Si Jean-Jacques Rousseau, nag-focus siya sa self-love or two types of self-love. I think it's clear. Magsiling ka amor de soi, nag-focus siya sa individual well-being. Though wala siya blang may gina-pursue nga self-interest or kalain or mga selfish acts, more on selflessness nga klase sang love. Though gaubra ka bala, nga wala kang may gina-expect nga kapalit, you just feel good in general. Which is contrary sa amor proper. Nga gabasi ka sa hambal sang iban. Like, you need to know nga sagad ka or you need, gusto mo gid mabatian nga hambal sang iban nga gwapa ka, nga sagad ka sa isa ka bagay para ma-confirm mo bala sa self mo nga amo ka gid man na. Do kumbaga, first nga isang hambal ta kagina kay Socrates that you need to know yourself. Pero sa diri naman niya, it's an opposite. Kung gusto mo ya ang affirmation nga gahalin sa iban nga tawo, hindi sa imo nga kaugalingon. And ang rason sini kun nga nag-emerge ang amo niyang klase nga view ni Jean-Jacques Rousseau is because sa evolvement sa world, nag-evolve ang world, di ba? Doon naman na bala mga technological advancements.
BITADT1B, what good advice can you give towards people listening to others' opinion on how they should be? Or dapat amo ka ni balaho? Sa kanya given advice? How about from the other class? What is your answer? What about BEE Ed 1C? What good advice can you give towards people listening to others' opinion on how they should be?
stop chatting now as we listen to the next view.
David Hume's view of self. According to him, self is a bundle of perceptions.
We tend to think of ourselves as selves who are stable entities that exist over time. But no matter how closely we examine our own experiences, we never observe anything beyond a series of transient feelings, sensations, and impressions.
The self is not an entity beyond the physical body. You know that the other people are human not because you have seen their soul, but because you have seen them, hear them, and feel them.
Next, we have David Hume. And he said that the self is just a bundle of perceptions or impressions, kumbaga feelings, sensations. Duperhuman sa ginambal ni Aquinas nga yourself is influenced by your experiences. Pero dali naman niya, there is a fine line sa ginapatihan ni Humes between sa ginapatihan ni Aquinas. For example, kung gahatag ka sa iban or gabuhat ka sang maayo, you feel good sa imo nga self. Kay namian ka, maubrahon ng mga muna nga butang. Or kung makakita ka sa mga gapalimos sa dalan, nabat nakabatsyar ka dayon sang kaluoy sa ila, daw feel mo gusto mo gid sila buligan, that makes up yourself ang mga feelings nga amo sina. May ara man nga bag-o mo pa lang gani nakilala ang tawo or nakita mo na siya, daw feel mo gakulo na yung dugo mo siya or hindi mo siya feel. That speaks about kung ano ka klase tawo. So I hope it's clear sa kayums nga perspective that yourself is made up of a bundle of impressions. Diba? Kung kisa makambal kita, first impressions last. Kung applicable na sa imo, then you have the Hume's view of the self.
I think, therefore I am. The famous line of René Descartes. He believed that mind took control over the brain via the pineal gland.
René Descartes believed that the self is the first evident truth and the second truth would be the body. He believed that the mind and the body were codependent to each other, also known as dualism.
Descartes believed the mind is a state of our consciousness.
You will not forget René Descartes because siya ni ang nag-quote sang I think, therefore I am. Kung ano ang tingin mo sa self mo, amo ka na. If you believe or ginapapati mo self mo that I am a successful architect, I am a successful, or I will be a successful engineer, I will be a successful teacher, or I will be a successful person, then eventually you are driving yourself sa amo man na nga direction. But if you think of yourself as a failure, if you think of yourself nga wala pulos, then eventually your actions may result sa amo man na nga consequence. Because for Descartes, ang mind ta ang ga-drive sang aton nga kaugalingon. Because the mind is a powerful thing.
BSCD 1B students, do you agree with René Descartes? I think, therefore I am view of ourselves? Why or why not?
Please stop chatting now as we listen to the next view.
According to the biblical view, the concept of self is distinguished from that of a person, and also personality and character.
As the Bible says, I say through the grace given unto me through every man that's among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. Romans chapter 12 verse 3.
Based on Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 9. So ultimately, each human self or spirit is an unique creation by God.
We know that all things work together for the good, according to those who love God. Romans 8:28. This verse reminds us that God can have a good purpose even for difficult times. He brings good out of the bad. He is a powerful, loving God.
And last, sa biblical perspective naman, sa tripartite nga view, that we have a soul, a mind, and a spirit. And according to Genesis, si God can-create niya kita in His own image. And He molded the soil or the dirt or the clay into His form, which makes up our body. Pero hindi pa kita living beings ang in-mold niya kita. What made us living is that He breathed the breath of life in us, which makes up our spirit. That's why that we became human.
In conclusion, reading and understanding the positions of various philosophers requires a deep understanding of the self towards the achievement of self-determination, as this temporal life is geared towards a certain meaning that all of us desires to be understood in the process of existence of thyself.
The idea of self are not only an object that perceives and reacts to whatever it is experiencing. We also have the capabilities to understand beyond those experiences and be able to think and have a clear identification of who we are and establish a sense of self that is unique and distinct from others.
From my conclusion, the famous philosophers' view of self was mostly influenced by their own curiosity and from an existing idea of a certain person that motivates them to ask the same question.
Greek questioned myths and moved away from them for more understanding about reality, answers to curiosity, and explanations to the questions who I am and what I am.
Different philosophers have come up with more specific characteristics of the self.
Plato,
It's a psyche.
Socrates,
It's a body and soul.
Raz,
It's behavior.
Biblical,
It's a character and personality. It's a consciousness.
Aquinas,
It's our experience. It's a
Kant,
perception and representation.
Rosa,
It's a realization of our full humanity.
Hume,
It's a body of
and
perception and finally
Descartes.
it's the mind and body.
So that's it for our topic today on the different philosophical views of the self. I hope you learned something and I hope you may nagdugang sa inyong kaalaman. If you have more questions, we will continue our discussion for this week sa aton nga Facebook group. But before I end, I want to present to you the different personalities and the different characters yang ginubra nyo for our learning task number 1 for you to learn more about your classmates and about your schoolmates on my subject. So I hope you enjoy this presentation. Have a great week! God bless!
ありがとうございます。